Hey, what's up you guys? Yes. So if you couldn't tell, I was channeling Shane Dawson. So today we are going to be doing the first case that is going to start my little true crime series. This series is basically just going to be me talking about a case that just really shocks me or interests me, and also cases that I feel need to be brought to attention. The first case that I'm going to be doing, because it is Black History Month, we are going to be doing a case about an African American woman that was murdered in Chicago. I'm just gonna get started with my makeup because we have a lot to talk about. I'm gonna go ahead and carve out my brows and prep my eyes off camera. I also just wanted to let y'all know that I am not going to be talking about the products that I'm using. I will put it all in the description, but I'm pretty sure you've seen me do my makeup enough. Nothing has really changed. Another disclaimer, if you don't like these types of videos, you definitely don't have to watch. I understand. This is just something that really interests me, and a lot of you guys have told me that I should do this. So like I said, this is a case about an African American woman that went missing from Chicago, Illinois. Her name was Shantieya Smith, and she was 26 years old. So I couldn't find much about Shantieya's life before she died, but I read in an article that a police officer stated that she had a high-risk lifestyle, and the way the police officer talked about it was pretty controversial and was just not very good overall, because no matter what, it doesn't matter what kind of lifestyle she lived, she was murdered, and they should still be putting their all into this case to try to find out who murdered her. She was last seen May 25th of 2018, and sometime in April of 2018 she was seen with a man named Charlie Booker. On June 7th she was found dead under a car in a car garage on the 1800 block of South Central Park Avenue in Chicago. So when she was found, she was badly decomposed. The officers on the scene recognized her because of her red hair. Once she was examined, she was officially identified as Shantieya Smith by her dental records. Her cause of death was ruled a homicide by the medical examiner with signs of blunt trauma. So probably the worst part of this case that just upsets me the most is the fact that she had an 8-year-old daughter, and I just can't imagine how she feels. I believe she was 7 at the time of her death. So Shantieya's mother's name is Latanya Moore. She is still trying to find out what happened to her daughter by speaking to investigators and trying to raise awareness about her daughter's death. I actually reached out to her because I was wondering if she could tell me a few things about the case that I couldn't find online. And she never reached back to me, which is perfectly fine. I can totally understand how you would want to not talk to anybody. This has to be so hard for her. Latanya actually tried to reach out to Charlie Booker while her daughter was missing, and I'm not exactly sure of the timeline of this, but I'm assuming it would be after her daughter was seen with him. She was trying to reach out to him just to make sure that her daughter was okay, and she was begging him to tell her if her daughter was okay. So he actually didn't reply for the longest time until she threatened to go to the police. To that which he replied with, and I quote, "Enjoy your time and days, because they will be cut short. Your days are on a countdown, so enjoy your time and days." And he also said, "Make sure you save all these messages so someone can give them to the police." So this Charlie Booker guy was pretty much just a bad guy all around. So he had actually been in and out of jail quite a few times for things such as domestic abuse, drugs, guns, stuff like that. And he was actually out on bond when he stabbed a woman in Garfield Park in Chicago. He also raped and stabbed a woman in Memphis while he was out on bond. Thankfully, both of these women survived, and the most recent thing I could find about those cases is that I know he was wanted in Memphis for the rape and the shooting for attempted murder. I'm gonna go off camera to do my lashes and brow. Charlie Booker has since been arrested, but has not been charged with anything related to Shantieya Smith. Even though he has not been charged, a lot of people believe that he took part in her murder, and a lot of people believe that not only did he take part in Shantieya Smith's murder, but he also took part in another woman's murder and another woman's disappearance. Well, I guess I should say children, because they were both 15. Victoria Garrett was 15 years old, and she was last seen June 5th of 2018. Another girl has a very similar case to Shantieya's. Her name is actually Shantieya Davis, and she was 15 years old. She was last seen April 27th of 2018, and she was sadly found dead May 11th of 2018. The reason that people believe Shantieya's and Shantieya's murders are connected is actually because Shantieya was last seen with Charlie Booker as well. So I mentioned a little bit about this earlier. After Shantieya's murder, her mother was talking with the police, and they said some pretty messed up stuff. They insinuated that her daughter's death was the result of a high-risk lifestyle and referred to the victims as prostitutes. That just makes me so furious. Like, is it that hard to just do your job? Why would you insult the victim in front of the victim's mother? That's just something I really don't understand with cases like this, and it really reminds me of the case in Canada. I can't even remember what town it was in, honestly, but where the guy was taking women from the downtown areas, a lot of which were on drugs and were prostitutes, some of them, and trying to make money for drugs. They obviously needed help and had a problem. And it's just really sad that that's the reality of a lot of people these days. But if you didn't know, if you haven't heard about this case, I don't know how. It was a case that went on for many years, and a guy was actually a serial killer and was taking women from these downtown areas and murdering them in his home, and allegedly feeding some of their bodies to his pigs because he had a farm. But a lot of the victims' families would report daughters, sisters, mothers as missing, and they were not taken seriously because they would say, oh, you know, they're probably on a binge somewhere or something, or, you know, they never really took it seriously. And this guy, I can't even remember how many people this guy murdered, but it was a lot. But the overall point of me saying that is just to show that a lot of times police like to turn a blind eye to cases like this. And it's very sad and it's not fair. And that is one of the main reasons I wanted to even do this case, is because I wanted to bring awareness to cases like this, not only with women who are led down the wrong path, but also with African American women in general, because they are often overlooked. But while we're speaking about serial killers, y'all, this is the part that has me kind of shook. Remember how I said some people believe that Charlie Booker murdered Shantieya Smith. The FBI and the Chicago police have actually formed a task force to investigate the deaths of more than 50 women. There have been 50 women that have mysteriously disappeared or been murdered in similar ways and that come from similar backgrounds to Shantieya Smith. And some of these cases date back to 20 years ago. That is just absolutely insane to me. Sounds pretty similar to the case in Canada that I was just talking about. So if you guys want me to do a video about this case that I keep talking about in Canada, I can definitely do that if you'll be interested in that. So there's a man named Thomas Hargrove. He is actually the chairman of the Murder Accountability Project. He has some interesting beliefs whenever it comes to these cases. Thomas Hargrove actually believes that there is a serial killer at work in the Chicago area. He believes that this serial killer is targeting women forced into the margins of society. Many victims had histories of sex work and illegal drug use, and most of them were not particularly close to their family at the times of their death, which makes it harder to tell when they went missing, because if their family hasn't talked to them in months, then who really knows? And I really don't mean to offend anybody by saying this. This is just the truth. You know, a lot of times women that are drug users hang out with other drug users because they're in the streets, and they become associated with these people. And a lot of times police officers will not take someone's witness as credible because they are on drugs or were on drugs at the time, which is, it's really sad. It's just a whole like sad situation. It's really messed up that someone would target these people because they know that they are weaker and he would be easier to get away with it. This case has still sadly not been solved. At this point, it is almost 2 years old, which isn't too long, but still it's long enough. You know, I feel like they have a lot of evidence that points towards Charlie Booker. As a lot of you know, a lot of times evidence is kept from the public because they don't want to ruin their case, which is fine, but it sucks. So the police could know way more than we do. So now for my opinions on this case. Honestly, I'm kind of stuck because I do believe that there could be a serial killer in Chicago targeting these women, but at the same time, there is so much evidence that points towards Charlie Booker. It's kind of hard for me to believe that he didn't do it. You know, he was the last one to be with her. He has so much evidence of domestic violence and abuse against women, and he was the last person to be seen with 2 women that were murdered that were found within the same couple months. I really wish I could have gotten more information about this case, but there was just hardly anything, which drives me insane because y'all know damn well. But in my opinion, if this were a white woman that were killed, or a woman that was wealthy, you know, in a nicer living situation, this case will be broadcasted everywhere. And let me tell you, I had to dig for this case. For this video, I wanted to find a case that was not widely broadcasted and that everybody didn't know about, because I wanted to be able to bring awareness to a case. And it just makes me sick to think that not a lot of people have heard about this case. You know, I wish I could come on here and say that there is no racial bias and we're all just being dramatic, but that's not the fact of the matter. The fact of the matter is that her case has been looked over because of her race, because of the lifestyle that she was in, and it's just not fair. So at this time, no charges have been placed against anyone in this case, and her murderer is still running free, which just makes me so sick. But if there's ever an update, if anyone is ever arrested or anything, I will definitely do an update video. Hopefully then I will have more information and I can kind of go more in depth with this whole situation. But for now, I will leave the links to the websites that I got all this information from, and I definitely recommend that y'all look into these articles and do your own research and tell me what you think, because I would really like to know. And this video is just kind of an overview. You know, like I said, I didn't have that much evidence to talk about. I just really want you guys to tell me your opinions on this case in the comments or in my DMs. Tell everybody you know about this case. Tell your mama, your grandma, your sisters. I mean, everybody. So we can all start talking about this and trying to bring awareness to Shantieya, because she deserves it. And it doesn't matter what kind of life she lived before she was murdered. It just matters that her murderer is found, for justice for her mother and her daughter and the rest of her family. I really can't imagine what they're going through. This must be so hard for them, especially the fact that her murderer has not been arrested. With that, I'm going to end this video, and I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And bear with me, this is my first video trying to do this, but I will get better as time goes along. I know this video is a little late, but I had some technical difficulties. Have a great day, night, whenever you're watching this. Like and comment what you think of this case, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. See you next time. Bye!